The term curse derives from an Old English word, cursin or cursion, meaning to wish evil or to excommunicate, but even older is a Latin and Greek term influenced by early Hebrew, pronounced anathema. Now, I won't bore you by dwelling too much on the etymology of these phrases, but it shows evidence that the idea of curses has been around a very long time. I'm sure you've heard of some curses, such as King Tutankhamun's cursed tomb that caused multiple deaths upon its opening, or maybe Dracula's fate to walk this earth as an undead immortal, feeding on the blood of the living to survive. Some say even Disney has some cursed history. The fact is, curses have been a taboo topic for ages. So today, let's dive into a few you may or may not be familiar with. First off, we have the Bambino Curse, with the events taking place from 1919 to 2004, Fenway Park, Boston, Massachusetts. There is a legend of a baseball-related curse that started from the year 1919 and lasted all the way until 2004. The legend states that the Great Bambino, aka Babe Ruth, helped the Red Sox win 3 World Series championships. After this, he was traded to the Yankees, leaving the Boston Red Sox to suffer a World Series drought, struggling to make it very far in the playoffs for the next 85 years. In 2004, the curse was broken by a 3-0 victory over the St. Louis Cardinals. Baseball fans are aware of the curse, and it's even been referenced in pop culture. In a mobile game called Pinball Deluxe Reloaded, there is an objective called the Bambino Curse, where you're attempting to lift said curse. In the video game Fallout 4, you can find a digital article from the Boston Bugle that references the Bambino Curse. The article states that it has been 159 years since this city has reveled in the joy of a World Series victory, implying that the curse in this game's timeline was never broken. Next, we have the Curse of Cain, with the events taking place approximately from 3900 to 3200 BC, Eden. Regardless if one is religious or not, the legend of Cain and Abel is an impactful story in biblical texts. For those not familiar, the story is about 2 brothers that are asked by God for a sacrifice. Cain was a farmer and the eldest son of Adam. Abel was the younger of the 2 and a shepherd whom offered God the firstborn of his flock. Cain offered a portion of his crops to God, but God favored Abel's sacrifice over Cain's. Filled with envy, Cain tricks his brother Abel into following him into a field where he would slay his younger brother over jealousy. Even in biblical times, murder is frowned upon, and according to the story, God decides to banish Cain for his actions. God also punishes Cain with an unknown mark and says that the ground that Cain once farmed will no longer produce nutrients for him. Cain is then forced to roam east, and according to ancient texts, God states that any man that may try to harm the cursed Cain will be punished 7-fold. Curse of the Knights Templar, 1307, France. Have you ever wondered why people consider Friday the 13th an unlucky date? Well, it isn't because of a certain hockey mask wearing butcher. Actually, on this date, over 700 years ago, it's believed that in the 14th century, King Philip of Spain was at war with France. During the war, the Knights Templar funded and helped King Philip claim victory over the French. Although it's debatable, this legend suggests that King Philip decides he does not want to pay back the Knights, so he teams up with Pope Clement V and launches a surprise attack on the unexpecting Knights Templar. Solidifying their downfall, King Philip proceeds to torture his opposers and former allies. But as the Knights' leader, Jacques de Molay, is about to be executed, Molay curses the king and the Pope for their betrayal. Within 1 year of the incident with the Knights, King Philip and Pope Clement V died mysteriously. In the years following, all 3 of King Philip's sons died an early death, as well as his only male grandchild. As a result, the French crown was passed on to the House of Valois, ending the reign of King Philip. Pélé's Curse, 850 to 1250 AD, Hawaii. Legend has it that Pele, the goddess of fire and volcanoes, enacts a curse upon anyone who steals items from the islands. According to legend, the rocks and sand are her children, and it is her divine responsibility to protect them. The curse is only lifted when you return the stolen items. The King Midas Curse, 700 BC, Phrygia. You may be familiar with the legend of King Midas. For those who haven't heard the fable, it derives from Greek or Roman myth. Like most ancient stories of this time and region, it's meant to teach us a lesson. Some of my personal favorite legends are from old fables because you can still apply these lessons to real-life situations, even today. King Midas was a respected king known for his wealth, his immaculate garden, and his love for gold. The story goes, he was watching his beloved daughter play in the garden one day when he stumbled across a weakened satyr. A satyr is a mythical creature most commonly portrayed as part man, part goat. King Midas took in the satyr and nurtured the creature back to health. The satyr informed Midas that he was a companion of the god of truth and wine, Dionysus. Upon hearing of King Midas' compassion for his furry-footed companion, Dionysus decided to grant Midas one wish. Although it would seem the king with everything he could ever imagine would not know what to wish for, his greed for more wealth transcended, and he wished for the ability to turn everything he touched into gold. The king would then take his new golden power and turn anything he dreamed of into the precious solid substance. He was unstoppable and he wanted to celebrate. He ordered his servants for a feast to revel in, and when his dining quarters were prepared, he sat down to indulge himself in his lavish banquet. He reached for a grape and went to take a bite and nearly shattered his teeth trying to bite down on the fruit. He was struck with fear as reality set in. If he couldn't eat, he knew it would only be a matter of time until he starved to death. The king left the banquet abruptly to be alone in his sorrow. The king's daughter found the lonesome king shortly after and tried to console her father. The two had grieved over his misfortune, and as he tragically tried to hug his daughter as he always did, he unknowingly turned his own daughter into a statue of pure gold. This drove the king into a hysterical madness, and he begged for the god Dionysus to take this cursed power away. Feeling almost sorry for the pitiful Midas, Dionysus ordered the foolish king to rinse his hands in the river Pactolus, and that this would drain the gold from his touch. He did as the truth and wine god instructed and returned home to find his castle and his daughter back to normal. The fable of Midas is a lesson of greed and corruption and how it can affect the hearts of men. So always remember, folks, be careful what you wish for.